Nachos amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers, a music podcast where a group of friends gather together to share music with each other, an album at a time. It's like a little book club for music. A fun time had by all. I'm Petey Rave, and here with me is my team, my squad, my crew, my triumvirate. We've got David.
Hi, everybody. I'm David Majors, and I have to live with that every day.
And we have Drew.
Hey, I'm Drew, and I have to live with the fact that he's David Majors every day.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
As I try to... as we sit here, I try to do the one part of my checklist I forgot. I have the checklist for a reason, Petey. You gotta look it up. We're here to talk about music. We're here to talk about an album. We're here to talk about a band. And I'm the one providing for it because I figured have something a little
Petey,
weird and special.
Don't you dare ask the question you ask with every episode.
I'm providing the album this week. For episode 400, I thought, let's get something interesting and weird. Something from my young adulthood in the 2000s. I'm not gonna bother reaching for the flyer. I showed it off last week at the end of the episode, but something from my young adulthood and my time. Getting into and hanging out at shows at the Culture Room in Fort Lauderdale. When I would either hitch a ride with somebody or ride the tri-rail and figure out a ride home from there. And go see, some of the bands that I was like friends with and some of the bands that they would play with. And one of the bands that I remembered by name, and I felt like every time I would look them up, I was like, am I incorrect for having remembered this band existing? And they, I saw them in a flyer. They existed, and there was always like there on the side for like maybe if I was feeling frisky to like bring them onto Record Breakers for a little while. And I just decided to go with the South Florida boys, Dr. Gonzo's Bazooka Circus, and their album Learn Everything New. There's no expectation. I imagine there's not much to expect, but what were your reaction? What was your reaction? What were your thoughts? Like, I'll go with you, Deej. What were your thoughts when I brought this up and when you were getting ready to sit down with this YouTube playlist, as it were?
I am always intrigued by the things you bring to the podcast, Petey Rave. So I entered with an open heart and an empty stomach, as Chairman Kaga would say. So, à la cuisine, I gave it an open-minded, excited listen.
Mm-hmm. And Drew, what were your thoughts coming into this album, this YouTube playlist?
Well, you said it was local, so I was excited. I have a very fond memory of a bunch of dingy metal dive bars of various punk, metal, goth, artsy sort of bands. And so I was interested to hear what Miami might be doing around the same time as Kent was doing weird, grungy, artsy metal. Spoiler, not far off.
There was a lot of people doing a lot of similar things. It was like almost like there was a national music scene that was influencing a lot of people. But yeah. Let's get down to it. How would I describe this musically? I would describe this musically as 2004, 2003. This is very much like this is a local band. This is a local band from the South Florida area, specifically, not the bifurcated and a half.
Would you call this post-metal, Petey?
I guess, yeah. I mean,
I think this would qualify as post-metal.
Like post-metal, new metal, like all like the kind of stuff. They're a group of high energy, weird young guys at the time. Obviously, they're just like I was young at the time. And they had very high energy. They had high energy, high tempo, like just like David said, post metal. They were of that scene where, like, with a lot of the other bands that were like doing like new metal stuff and like metal and like hard rock stuff, they throw in a lot of like weirdness in there. I like the hard part is finding resources other than like my half remembered like moments in my mind of like seeing flyers and seeing a show that I for sure was at, because I have many of the flyers from that show that I stole and squandered in there and hoarded in my little collection of flyers and things like that. And I would be looking up, and I like this there's somebody with the username Dr. Drew on Urban Dictionary decided to define them on Urban Dictionary as a famous band in South Florida whose lyrics are about sex, drugs, and more sex. Can usually be seen in the culture room. They support the safe sex. The quote reading, "They are so damn cool. I want to know when they are playing next." Do
they sell condoms at post metal shows?
Though they like to throw them.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, they would like to throw them. They was just perverted the safe side. There was like the part of the vibe of like the craziness of like seeing them live. It's just the musically here we have really fun like guitar work, really fun like changes in like vibe, and there's some just classic 2000s like hard rock new metal singing and screaming, but not like bro-ish, but like it's just like brash and loud and fun. This, and we say local, this put this out there, it's from a production standpoint rough. it's a little rough, but this is a local band's like recording that they managed to do, and it's like somebody recovered it, ripped it, and put it on YouTube, and so it's a little rough around the edges as far as production quality wise, but I still think it is still you can still enjoy what you're hearing. There's some deliberate like lo-fi choices as far as like vocals and things like that, but it has just like a really cool like energy and fun, and it's something that obviously the big reason why they were like well regarded within the scene at the time was just because this all translates really well into a crazy live show at the Culture Room when you're like just jumping around in front of the stage and just vibe, just moshing for the music, and you're like in your early 20s or late teens at the shows, just hanging out, being seen, being at the scene and whatnot. But I'm more interested in how you guys can describe it, because I want to see it from an outside perspective. David, how would you describe this album musically?
I used the word post-metal, but I think that this is sort of a blending of post-metal and post-hardcore, because the singer has more of a hardcore voice, but the music overall is the best way I can describe it is that it's not new metal, but it is taking something that metal did and kind of growing from it. But it's very rooted in modern metal from the 90s and early 2000s, but it grows and stretches that a little bit, which is why I'm calling it post metal. To your point, Petey, I actually really liked the production on this album. I think it fits perfectly. I think sonically, this album is fantastic. And I think it is a great album on the speakers, probably more than the headphones. I did not and was not able to track down the lyrics, but I'm not going to give that much thought. I imagine these guys were a real joy to see live. Were they probably the tightest band? No, probably not. But I'm assuming that didn't really matter that much. But the songs are solid from front to back, in my opinion. The songs are pretty solid.
Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
I joked, but there is a tone to this that immediately sent me back to my first concert that wasn't with my parents. My first concert memory was Bo Diddley, but I was 9 and almost got beer spilled on me by a much older, very drunk lady because my dad wanted to see the blues guy play on the river in Cuyahoga Falls. So I'm not really counting that because I don't think I should. But it took me back to the Robin Hood. The guitar tone and the vocal inflection, that sort of like almost drawn out, sort of like they heard the vocals of Alice in Chains, but they heard like Static X guitars and they wanted to do both. So they just did that.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It works.
It works.
It really works.
Like it works absolutely fine. Like, and I like both of those bands. So I was like, okay, another band doing this. Now, Hate Dies Hard was very like gothy, like we hate everything, as you might be able to tell from the name. And this was very much not that. This seems like it would be a lot more fun to be at a show, as David said. It's something where, yeah, the recordings are rough. You can tell this is early aughts with no budget. Nowadays, they probably would sound a lot better because you can get good equipment that makes you sound like you have great equipment if you know what you're doing. And a lot of bands are doing that now, which is great from a sonic standpoint. But there's something about crappy recordings that just bring me back to like getting CDs with Sharpie.
I don't see this as a crappy recording. I actually think this was a really good recording.
I
Like,
think it was a delivery. I think
good.
it was good. I was just wanted to qualify because there are parts where it's like a little rough around the edges. I think some of the mixing could be a little bit better, but I think it fits
like it's
to the
crunched
sound.
To me,
It was crunched a little bit. I think if you opened it up a little bit, you could still have that like lo-fi sound, but and I think that might also be a product of being from a CD ripped like ripped from a CD to MP3s in the mid 2000s. Like so it could be a lot of factors, but I think it wasn't I just wanted to qualify for a lot of people just kind of what you're going with. I think you're right that it does fit. It fits the sound as far as like and I liked it, but you know me, I just wanted like I'm a people pleaser. I'm just like, but it's just but yeah, as you were saying, Drew, I don't know more.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's something that I love this kind of stuff. And it takes me back a lot, and I don't listen to it as much as I should anymore. And the thing about this one is they're not only doing that, but they seem to like have their tongue firmly in their cheeks in a lot of places, and I think that's pretty great. You don't hear this style of music with like this like sort of irreverent humor. I don't know if it works the same today, but at the same time, as a blast from the past, it super works for me.
Yeah, and as we kind of go into some of the key tracks on this, I'm only gonna talk about a couple of them because there's a really nice like intro. I won't talk about the opening actual track. I'll talk to "Shape of Our Senses," which kind of like has like it starts with this like really cool like guitar strum, just guitar strum and vocals that kind of like just pairs well together to start the song before it fully kicks in later on, and it's just a really nice like vibe, both in the electric version and our album proper, and the acoustic version at the end of the album. Just has a nice like build, and then just great energy all throughout. One-handed clap, just on top of just having a really just great guitar work, really really fun, having one of the catchier songs, also like in the middle of it, just hearing somebody asking about Froggy style just, and just like yelling was really fantastic. And then you have a focus for like a wrapping up before it gets to the acoustic reprieve of Shape of Our Senses, provides a nice like closer to the album, and I think it has like the right energy, just kind of like blast you off, and kind of like having a like one nice little last hurrah there for the album. Yeah, David, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
The Shape of Our Senses is an outstanding song, and this song is a prime example and really the centerpiece of the album, and an example of what I've been talking about so much recently, in that it has a lot of really good ideas and does a lot of really cool stuff, but it actually finishes the story. It's not over in 2.5 minutes, and pretty much none of these songs are. So I was really able to sink my teeth into the album as a whole, which I think is what I really enjoyed about it so much, is that the stuff on here is really enjoyable, but it's not over in a blink. You can really get into the songs and find moments and bits and pieces, and The Shape of Our Senses is a prime example of that. I will also give a shout out to the second half of One-Handed Clap. When the song's second half kicks in, it's fucking phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. One demerit I will give, maybe the only demerit on this album, is the unplugged version of The Shape of Our Senses. Not how I would have ended the album. Not how I would have ended it. So -1 demerit there.
Yeah. I can imagine it was like we want to include we kind of want to fill the CD up a little bit, so let's include this. Yeah, Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
So artsy, sort of grungy, metal-y band, like doing weird musical stuff, has a song with a weird fucking title called Crazy God Massage. Yeah, it checks out.
Yeah.
Fucking checks out. What I will say about this song from a musical standpoint, the build into the chorus I thought was really, really good. One-Handed Clap, like was the song. Everybody mentioned it. And it is the song where when that started playing, I instantly thought, did these guys get a lot of influence from Alice in Chains? And the second listen through, I was like, yeah, probably, and that's okay. And then Fokies, is that how you pronounce that?
I went with Focus.
Focus?
Yeah, but I don't know. That's just a guess.
But that effect on the guitar that's throughout this, that's peppered throughout, as I was bouncing around, it hit me again right around the 215 mark. 215 and 240 mark of the song. And there is something to that. That's where like the Hate Dies Hard comparison in my head, the Static X, like something in there is what really tripped that up for me.
Yeah. Let's bring it back around the horn. Talk about some conclusive thoughts. David, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
It's a shame that they didn't seem to last very long, because I think these guys, while they might have just kind of been kind of fucking around a little bit just to have a good time, if I were somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody, I would probably have taken their demo tape and given it to somebody back in the day. If I knew somebody who knew somebody, I would probably get that demo tape around, because I think these guys are really fucking good. And I don't know if they had larger ideas, or if they wanted to do more, or if they did do more. There is a distinct devil may care vibe to this that I really respect. It doesn't come across as fake. It doesn't come off as trying too hard to fit into a box. They're just being themselves. They're having a good time. It's loud and it's fun and it's really fucking good. And if I were there at the time, and if I knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody, I would have taken their demo tape and passed it around.
Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album?
I sometimes will harp on when I hear an album where it sounds like it's a very by the numbers, or it's trying to fit into a certain lane, or it very much sounds like, oh, these people are doing this because this is the thing that they do, or this is what can make them money here, or something like that. There's a lot of late era unwritten law that I could go into that very, very much so, which is another name from this era of music. Very much different, but like late unwritten law feels very much like, oh, they're not having fun. They're just doing a sound that they know will hit and will make them some money. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But there's something to be said about doing music to have some fun. And yeah, the lyrics are irreverent and jokey at times, and they're a little bit like off the wall, but they seem to have cared about the musicality of what they were doing to a certain extent, and having both of those things juxtaposed and having it feel like they were having a good time figuring it out, I think shows. Yeah, rough around the edges, but like David said, if they would have stayed around longer, polish a little bit,
real
do
potential,
a little bit more,
real potential.
Like, there's something there that's fun. Not all music that is artsy musically has to be super deep other places.
Yeah.
In the lyrics and stuff like that. You don't need, oh, this is super deep musically. It also has to like say something. Sometimes you can just have stuff that like they're just doing some cool doodly doos on the guitar and they're doing weird stuff effects wise, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like the opening of the album was straight out of OK Computer. And I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. I legit say these guys had a mountain of potential. There was a lot of potential here.
And yeah, there's a big reason why they were a name in the scene that would open for a lot of people and be around and play a bunch. And yeah, and my conclusion was that I'm always like worried. I worry too much as a people pleaser, you know, especially when I'm like, are the guys gonna like this as much as I like this? I like this a lot, but you know, and I always like, my instinct is always to couch things and to qualify, the production and things like that. I think, at the end of the day, I thought this and the other album that I was gonna do were both really fun, really great energy, a really cool band. That is a shame that they weren't as remembered. I did another album from a band that was you know, that I was like, oh, what? You know, interesting. This band was kind of like forgotten, and I only found out about this from this one thing, which was Orange Wedge's Orange Wedge. And then we listened to it and realized, oh yeah, this was worth forgetting. It's like, and which is fine, but like, it was like that. But it was nice to kind of go into an album and be like, you know what, this shouldn't be forgotten. This should be remembered. This band should be remembered, and this is the case for DGBC. They were a fantastic live band. They were fantastic musicians, and this album is a great showcase for that. It's a shame that I do not possess at least a physical form of that. I think at the time I just didn't get around to doing it, to buying their CD or anything like that. And it's a shame that it only exists as a YouTube playlist. Thank you to the Family Productions on YouTube. I don't know if it's like if it was a label or if it's just a person that's doing just archiving these like albums, because they also have like bands like Second Sin and some of the other like groups from that era. For putting this up, and I also kind of had to like arrange it in using the full album single video that they had on there as a reference on myself, because of one person's or one group's archival efforts, this can still be here and alive, and that's really fantastic. And I would really like to know where the boys are at now. So you know what? They could, it's been like
10,
11
friends.
years.
Tell them your friends from Detroit and Ohio said they're really fucking good.
Yeah.
They're fun.
I'm going to have to like see, because I know a lot of people around there. I'm just going to have to like shout to my, and I should have done it already, shout to my peoples that I still know and still am connected to on social media, that were in bands and stuff like that, about, what have you remember Dr. Gonzo? Like, remember this band? Like, what do you know what these guys are up to now? Can we like, do you have them on LinkedIn or something?
Yeah, Petey, don't forget to do that.
Yeah,
we found Luke, remember?
Yes, we did find Luke, at least tangentially. So we got to go find the boys and see what they're up to, and see, even if they're just like doing well in life, just let them know that, hey, we remember them. I remember this band.
And you guys were good.
And you guys were good. Yeah.
You guys were good.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I wanted from this. I wanted to like at least like say, hey, these guys existed. And they should be remembered.
They were good.
Yeah.
Let's put that on there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are our thoughts on Dr. Gonzo's Bazooka Circus's Learn Everything New. And now we get to the main event of the evening, the moment we've all been waiting for, our haiku reviews. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Haiku numero uno. David, what is your haiku?
Loud, brash, but smart too. Rock, not trying to be cute. Legit hidden gem.
Drew, what is your haiku?
Shit. I was looking up an old one for me and then forgot to pull back up my notes.
Refrigerator.
Get some nostalgia from grunge influenced teens. Can dig, just not deep.
My haiku: culture room creatures that should not be forgotten. Where y'all at now, dudes? And those are our thoughts on Dr. Gonzo's Bazooka Circus. Learn everything new. You can of course find it on our YouTube playlist, which we do have now. It's 2 since they have like a cap on how many videos. But we are in part 2 of our YouTube playlists. Check it out on our on our YouTube on YouTube page, youtube.com/@rebellytv. They won't be on our Spotify playlists, but on both playlists, hopefully, will be next week's record, and that will be provided by David. David, what have you got for us next week?
Petey, I'm up on the mound, and I am about to throw a shooter. I like to pick an album every now and then from a well-recognized, well-known artist. But when I do that, I don't want to pick the album everybody knows, because that's fucking boring. So I decided to dig a little deeper into their catalog. I'm choosing the group Earth, Wind, and Fire and their 1975 album, That's the Way of the World.
Yeah, look forward to that. I have a feeling we know what Drew thinks, but we'll get into details next week. But we'll get into why next week. But that'll be then, and this is now. And you can of course find us all over the internet. Recordbreakers.fun, rebelly.net, Rebelly TV on YouTube and on Twitch. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow us on Twitch. You can watch us live on Twitch for this and our other shows like Through the Tomes and our GM mode stream, Fanny Pack Wrestling 2K23 My GM, which is a lot of fun. It's basically our wrestling podcast / millennial lifestyle podcast that we also play 2K23 My GM. Check out all the things. Find us everywhere you find podcasts. Like, share, subscribe, do little things. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo.
Oh, hi. Annyeong. Now I gotta go find out why somebody knocked earlier. Fighting.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.